mean, obviously you're not going to be, slamming fish if you're not pulling trigger.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I think that you will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So for me, even if I can, because we're shooting invasives, so it doesn't even matter if I were just to win one. Like, we don't care. We just want them out. So I could be shooting it in the tail or in the stomach or something, and I'll be just, okay, at least I got one.
Yep. Helping out the reef.
Yep.
These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. This episode of the Six Ranch Podcast is brought to you by Decked. That's D-E-C-K-E-D. If you don't know what that is, Decked is a drawer system that goes in the bed of a pickup truck or a van, and it'll fit just about any American-made pickup truck or van. It's a flat surface on top, and then underneath there are two drawers that slide out that you can put your gear in, and it's going to be completely weatherproof. So I've never had snow or rain or anything get in there. There's also a bunch of organizational features like the deco line, and there's boxes that you can put rifles or bows or tools, all different sizes. There's some bags and toolkits. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can put in there. But the biggest thing is you can take the stuff that's in your back seat out of your back seat and store it in the drawer system, and it's secure. You can put a huge payload of a couple thousand pounds on top of this deck drawer system. There's tie downs on it, so you could strap down all your coolers and your four-wheeler and whatever else you've got up there. It's good stuff. This is made out of all recycled material that's 100% manufactured in America. And if you go to decked.com/sixranch, you'll get free shipping on anything that you order. This show is possible because companies like Decked sponsor it. And I would highly encourage you to support this American-made business and get yourself some good gear.
Sitting here on the edge of the Pacific Ocean on the big island of Hawaii with Kiley Umeda from Aimright Spearfishing, and we just spent the last 2 days diving out here. I learned so much. I love spearfishing. Do you still love it? Do you ever have days where you're like, I'm over this?
No, I love spearfishing. It's one thing that I'll just do till the day I die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You told me when you were getting started as like a 7-year-old girl, you'd be out there trying to get tacos, octopus, and your mom would hear you just swearing up a storm from the beach.
Oh, yeah. There would be F-bombs dropped, and then I could see her face for sure all the way from where I was, and I was like so frustrated. Those things are so smart, incredibly smart, and they're the one thing in the ocean that are very, very unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, we found, 4 over the last couple of days?
Yep. Got 4.
And it's going to be a real highlight of the trip for me. The first one you spotted, and it had gone underneath a little ledge, and I think it was only in like 12 feet of water or something like that. And I had to dive on that thing like 8 or 10 times to try to get it. But talk to me about the technique of actually, grabbing them. Like, what's your go-to?
So normally we like to tickle them out, and you have to feel it. Like, I can tell anybody, like, okay, we'll just poke it, and then like make it irritated and agitated to where it wants to like try and like eat your spear.
We've got a couple feral goats within like 10 yards of us right now. That's a good goat call.
Yeah. Well, Mom's pissed.
She looks pregnant.
Oh, yeah. You got twins, Mama? Oh, my goodness. Am I going to grab you? Well, you guys can play that game and fuck around and find out right now.
Oh, now we got 3 of them. So there are so many feral goats on this island. It's incredible.
Oh yeah.
I'm changing subjects here, but it's because we're getting bombarded with goats. Now there's 4 of them.
They just popped out of nowhere.
Good
They're like the
grief.
Kole today. Once you shot
Seriously.
one, there was like 20.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so when you're saying tickle them out of there, for people that don't know, what you mean is you're going down there and like poking them with the end of the spear gun, but not like super hard. You're mostly just trying to agitate them, right?
Yeah, so basically they'll go back to in their hole and then they'll just back all the way up. And what you want them to do is just get a little bit mad at your spear and then they're going to really attack it. And then basically you're just going to keep doing that until the point where they're like, okay, screw this. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And once you do that, there's a fine line between once they're out of the hole where you can like actually grab them
Yeah.
before they actually go back in their hole.
Right.
So it's like one of those things. It's like you have to just experience it for yourself.
Yeah. I did it wrong a lot.
No.
And then, the thing is, I just kept running out of time. So by the time that I could get down there, find him, and then, start annoying the poor thing enough to come out of the hole, as soon as he's coming out, then I've got to go back to the surface, right? Because I don't have much of a breath hold right now. And then, once he actually did come out, I tried to grab him, missed, big poof of ink, and he went to a different ledge. And I didn't know, this is the first time we've met. We talk spearfishing all the time. You've been on the show before. But I didn't know if you were like getting frustrated with me or losing patience. And I came up and I was like, why don't you just go get that thing? And you're like,
Nope.
hell no, this is you. And I really, really appreciate that, sincerely. And at that point, I was committed. Like, I'm going to live here until I get this thing or it completely disappears.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Spearfishing isn't supposed to be easy. If it wasn't for the ups and downs and this frustration, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's also, it's incredibly rewarding. So, after yesterday, our first dive, we had an uhu, which is a parrotfish. We had a green mana, is that right?
We had a manini.
Manini.
And then kala.
Yeah, a green kala. That's what it was. And then we had a kole, but not a king kole, right?
I think that one was a maiko. Pretty close though. Same family.
Different kind of surgeon fish.
Yep.
You brought some taco. You brought some smoked marlin. Started a fire there on the beach, and we grilled some of those fish directly on the coals. Some of them we put into a cast iron skillet that had some hot oil in it. The only thing that we did was scale those fish, score them up a little bit, put some salt on it, and the salt comes from here in Hawaii. And I mean, just what a phenomenal meal that was.
Oh yeah, you definitely can't beat.
These goats are within like 5 feet, and Kylie is just ready to pounce.
Yeah. I'm like, which one's the girl? That one right there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, get out of here before I grab you. Yeah, we like to just try and do simple stuff, and then you can always put your chili pepper water on, and then or show you.
Yeah.
You don't have to make anything fancy. Takes away too much of the taste of the fish.
Right. The parrotfish, the uhu, I thought was really amazing. I'd put that up against any grouper I've ever had.
Oh yeah, can't beat the uhu nuggies.
Yeah, really good stuff. So then, got to have dinner last night with my buddy Justin Lee up in Waimea. It was great to see him, and it was the first time I've ever got to meet his wife, Sana Lee. It was really sweet. Justin was late, of course, and he called me and he goes, "Hey, you can go in if you want. My wife's already there." And I said, "How will I know which one she is?" And he said, "She'll be the prettiest girl in the room."
Oh, brownie points, sir.
Yeah.
10 points, Justin.
And you and him have dived together for a long time, yeah?
Oh yeah, super long time. Actually, I don't even. Well, we had some like pretty funny stories together for sure. I'm not exactly sure what our first dive was, but there like, I can't trust him. That's the bottom line. I can't trust him. He has to go in front of me because otherwise he's gonna be like grabbing my fish off the buoy and like shaking me or telling me there's a shark, and I'm like, where? And then he's like, oh, just kidding. And the one time there was a monster target shark, like, you know, the boy who cried wolf. That's Justin.
Yeah.
Kept doing it to me all dive, and then like at the very end when we were jumping, like gonna jump out, this big mama shows up, and I'm like, oh my god, I'll hide behind you. If I have to shank you, I'm out.
Tell me about the baby powder story.
Justin. Asshole. He had a bright idea, and I guess, I mean, he said it. He was so convincing, you know, that, oh yeah, just use baby powder on an open cell wetsuit. It works like a charm.
Because usually getting into an open cell wetsuit is not an easy thing. Like you've got to put something in there to lubricate it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen.
And it was also really cold, and I'm like a pansy when it comes to like cold stuff.
Yeah. So most people use baby shampoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Justin told me, oh yeah, just use baby powder. I'm like, okay, right on. I'll give it a go. Sure enough, I put it on. I was committed, and I put my arm through. I'm like, oh, this is a little hard. Okay. Got the other one through. And then right when I tried to put on the top part for my head, I was stuck. Stuck. And everyone's laughing at me. And I was like, all the boys were just like in a circle, just laughing at me. And I'm like, oh, this is not funny, guys. Like, I can't breathe. Can't breathe. So I was like yelling at them to cut it. Finally, somebody came and ripped it off of me. But I was like, oh, that was the closest I came to actually passing out.
The shallow water blackout before you're ever in the water.
That would be embarrassing.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Now, would you consider yourself a professional spearfisherman? Is that a fair thing to say?
Nah.
No?
Just do it for fun.
Just do it for fun. Also, I mean, you build spear guns for your profession.
Yeah, I definitely do it for... I'm just doing R&D. That's all.
Yeah. Gotcha. What is your deepest dive?
My deepest dive is 186 feet. That
Wow.
was just a free dive, touch and go kind of a thing.
So the pressure that I feel when I'm in 20 to 30 feet of water feels really intense to me. Like I can feel the mass getting kind of crushed into my face. I can feel, pressure in my chest. The world changes a lot as you get down into that water and feel all that weight. What is it like at 186 feet?
It's very quiet.
Yeah.
It's quiet, and you're just in your own world. And the best thing for you to do is just stay calm, stay relaxed. If you can think of a song that you really like that's like not super upbeat, I just kind of sing that one in my head.
What's your song?
I go through a few people, but Taylor Swift right now.
Okay. Rocking some T Swift, 180 feet.
That's my
Under the
jam.
ocean. Okay. And then, how long is your longest breath hold?
So static is a little different. It's not like actually doing stuff underwater, but I know like my longest spearfishing time was like 340 something.
Wow.
And I shot a uku that dive. He just was being a punk and did not want to come in. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just relax and just put my head down, and then maybe he'll come in. And like he kept coming a little closer, and I'm like, okay, I'll just wait. Put my head back down. Kept coming, and I'm like, not close enough. Sure enough, eventually at the very end of like my drop, I'm like, screw this thing. He just decides to book it to me. It's like one of those cat and mouse games. Like once we're like, I'm not paying attention to you. I hate you. Get out of my life. He's like, oh, hello. Hi, Kylie. Come back. And I ended up stoning it, luckily. And I was like, okay, so stoked. And I did not know it was like the longest breath hold for me until I actually went in to shore.
Wow. That's amazing. Did you have a buddy that was up top watching you dive?
My partner was like, I guess, just like, okay, she may black out. I'm gonna make sure she's okay. But yeah, I was fine.
How deep were you on that dive?
I think I was like 50 feet or so.
Wow. All right, folks. So, look at your watch right now and just take a great big breath and see how long you can make it and see if any of you can make it to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Hopefully you're not driving down the road while you drive this.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Oh, man. That's incredible. That's phenomenal. Do you see any real reason to push that farther? Do you think it would be to your advantage to have a 4 or 5 minute breath hold?
No, not at all. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, I think it's better to have hunting skills. That outweighs anything, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Learning the fish, learning their behavior, figuring out how to approach it best. Like I said, every fish acts different, and especially on different sides of the island. On the Kono side, the fish are a lot smarter. They have their PhD. They're pretty educated. So I'd say, figuring out where to hide would be like my number one thing versus I'm gonna shoot for super super deep dive to get this fish.
That was one of the biggest things that I was working on was like finding a spot where I felt like I could get a handhold with my left hand once I got down, and then being able to just hang out. Even if it was for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, to just try to be still down there, because from my understanding, that's one of the biggest things is just get to the bottom, don't move, and relax. Don't look menacingly at fish. Don't do anything crazy. I mean, there's like scratching and grunting and all the things that you can do to call fish in, but like that's just not where I'm at yet. Right now, I need to be able to just spend some time down on the bottom and actually get my hand on something that's not going to break off or stab me or bite me. That eel wigged me out today.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, just it's in that hole, and then I was like, oh, that's a good size eel.
So I had shot a fish that came off the spear and it went underneath a rock, and Kiley swam down and said, yeah, it's right there. So I, breathed up for a while, went down, and I couldn't clear my ears. So it took me like 4 or 5 attempts there just to get my ears cleared, and blew all the like snot and boogers out of my nose, and then went back down and tried again, and I couldn't see under there that well, and this was in 22 feet of water, if I remember right. So I got my hand on the rock and looked under there and had the spear gun in my other hand, and I could see something dark underneath the rock. I was like, well, maybe that's that uhu, and I poked it, and it was that eel that was eating the parrotfish, and he like wiggled around a bunch and like shook the end of my spear, and I was like, ooh, not cool.
Yep.
I headed back to the top. That's his fish now.
Yeah. No worries. He has to eat dinner too.
Yep. Another thing that I found very interesting, and Justin has talked with me about this before, but if you snorkeled in Hawaii, you might think, how hard could it be? Like, these fish just surround you. It's like a Disney princess moment sometimes. And when we were coming back in yesterday, there was a bunch of fish beneath us, and you switched me over to the 3-prong, which is like it's got 3 spring steel points that come out the end of it, and then a big rubber band at the back, and it's all handheld. So you just put the rubber band in your hand, slide the spear back, and then you let it go, and it kind of slingshots the spear forward. And you said that's how kids learn a lot, and it's really effective for smaller fish and closer shots. And you've killed a bunch of bigger fish with it too. But I got over a bunch of fish, and I was like, oh yeah, this is my spot. And as soon as I pulled that spear back, before I'd even like started to take a breath or dive, everything just went boom and like scattered like quail.
Oh yeah.
It's like, how smart are these fish?
They're pretty smart. They know.
They're good at surviving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, they get hunted every day practically. The water's so nice, so it's like they have to figure it out. Otherwise, they're just gonna be dead.
So historically, spearfishing has been a saltwater thing, right? And if you lived in, talking the U.S., if you lived in California or Florida, you probably spearfished a little bit, or at least were aware of it. Hawaii for sure, but most of the people in the U.S. didn't have access to a place where they could do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that's changing now where people are starting to realize that they can spearfish in freshwater.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of some of these freshwater tournaments that have gone on.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever competed in those?
Yeah, I competed in one for nationals in Las Vegas. That was so different.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Like coming from here and doing the crazy dives that you do here, going to, was it Lake Powell?
Mm-hmm.
Going to Lake Powell to hunt for carp, stripers.
Yeah, we just shot a carp, but it's like the water feels very eerie, and like the top of the surface isn't too cold, but once you get past that thermocline, like I said, I don't like cold.
Yeah.
So for me to even stay warm, I actually had to make way more dives than I would normally would have. And that was the only way I could actually stay warm throughout that day. And like for me over here, I have to be very aware of my surroundings. Like, there'll be eels, there'll be vana, which is, that sea urchin that will poke you.
Yeah.
Sharks and that kind of stuff. So when I was diving in the lake, there'll be like a stick. And I'm, blow out quite a bit of air, and I was like, okay, I gotta remember, like, nothing can really hurt me in this lake.
Yeah.
But it's just dark, and it's, like, a little scary.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I get scared.
That's funny that you're more scared in a place where nothing can get you than in a place where stuff is trying to get you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been bit by an eel?
Yep. It was a love bite. I just want a nibble. Just a little taste.
But you had a friend that lost a finger to one.
Oh, yeah. All I can say is if they bite you and they have one of your phalanges, don't pull away.
Yeah.
Just try and be calm. I know it sucks. It hurts, but the worst thing you can do is pull away because that thing will just rip your finger to shreds. I was lucky and I just got bit and then I just stayed really still. I'm like, oh, that's sore. And then he let go. And then just went off on his way. I was like, ooh, you're lucky. I did not shoot you.
I would not like that.
Mm-mm.
I'm glad that the eel that I poked today didn't get upset. And you said it was a type of eel that tends to get a little bit grumpy anyways.
Yeah, they have anger issues for sure. Like all of them. That's the one that'll like definitely swim out of the water to come and grab your fish if you're cleaning it on the side.
That's funny. For people that want to get into freshwater spearfishing, what is the minimum kit that they need?
Definitely a good wetsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's just being warm is gonna make you comfortable, and if you're comfortable, then you can stay calm and you can do your proper breathe ups. Just a decent spear gun and some fins and weight belt, and I'd say a very good fitting mask.
Yes. That's something that I'm continuing to struggle with, is finding a mask that fits me well. I'm going to go to the dive shop here in Kona and shop for one again today. But getting water constantly coming into your mask, even a little bit, not only is it distracting and it gets in your nose and makes your brain feel like you're drowning, it also blocks your vision, blurs your vision in a way that it's really hard to see what in the heck you're shooting at. And, spotting fish is really hard.
Oh yeah.
It's hard for me to even like tell what species or which species, and because it's also new to me here. So, how do you test for a mask to fit?
So normally we'll go to a local store and then they'll let you try them all on. But basically what you want to do is you're going to put that skirt to your face and then you want to be able to like push on it. And as long as it doesn't come off and it doesn't hit any high points on your face, that's a decent mask.
Okay.
Like I mean, everyone will say like, oh, get a low volume, but it doesn't mean that's going to be comfortable.
Right.
I just say go with something that's comfortable.
Why is low volume important?
It's just less air that you have to put in your mask if you dive deeper. But like I said, it's like one of those things. Comfort is key.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Weight belts. Talk to me about that. That's something that's intimidating for people who haven't done this. Is that idea of strapping some lead around their waist. They think they're gonna go down to the bottom and never come up again.
Well, weight belts are something that's very important. You definitely want to have something that's like quick releasing, and you need to be properly weighted. So like roughly, if you're gonna have like a 3 mil wetsuit on, and like for me, I got a little bit of some beer chubs. I got the beer belly, so I have to use 8 pounds.
Well, you are sponsored by the Kona Brewing Company. Shout out to
Yep.
Kona.
Yep. Thank you, Connor Brew. All of those big waves are super ono. But yeah, so like usually we'll just make sure that we'll start off real little bit, real light, and then eventually, your next time you go out, you can just add a little bit more, like a pound, add another pound until you're like neutral. Cause that's the one thing you don't want to be coming up from a dive and you're kicking and you're struggling to come back up.
Yeah. I was wearing 11 pounds today,
Mhm.
and that felt pretty close to right. I could have maybe had another pound on, but I had less than that on yesterday, and it was hard for me to get down. Salt water is a lot more buoyant than fresh water.
Mhm.
I'm a big guy. I'm wearing a lot of neoprene in that wetsuit, and it's got a bunch of air pockets in it. So I'm wearing a life jacket over my whole body. So I need to find a way to compensate for that. Yeah. Okay. Decent spear gun. What's that look like?
I mean, price range is, I guess, everyone's first thought.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, like, if you are gonna be serious about this and you think that you're gonna do it, just go with a carbon one.
Yeah.
Like, don't Mickey Mouse around with the aluminum. Yeah, it's good because it's very durable, but it eventually, probably like in 2-3 months, in all honesty, that's when people are like, hey, by the way, now I'm gonna buy that gun that you said to get in the first place. Like, yeah.
So what's the practical difference between aluminum and carbon?
So aluminum is a lot louder, so it'll have like a tank to it, and that sometimes will actually scare the fish away before the shaft will even get there.
Yeah.
So especially like move in Hawaii, they're famous for like turning right when you pull the trigger.
Oh man.
And it's like same thing like, when you shoot deer with the bow, jump your strings.
I had fish do that to me several times today, and every time I felt like I was such an idiot. It wasn't for me today. It wasn't after the gun went off. It was like, okay, I'm gonna decide to pull the trigger right now, and I'm sure my body language was changing, and that fish was like, "Deuces, I'm out of here." And it's like I was lined up. I had the plan, like everything was there, and then the fish just isn't there anymore by the time the shaft gets there. However, the times that I was able to just like be calm and relax and not like think angry, hateful thoughts about this fish, I was smoking them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was happy with the way I shot today.
Oh yeah, you stoned a bunch.
Yeah. Those little colae are so delicious. My goodness.
Delicious potato chips.
Yeah, it's like a cross between a fish and a potato chip.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you just scale them and fry them whole, and they're really awesome.
Oh yeah, like Grandma said, Garfield would starve if you ate if you ate like us.
Yeah.
No center bone.
So, fish is a big staple in your family. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How many days a week do you think you're eating fish?
Well, definitely 4 times a week at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we always have like our little smoked marlin snackies, or the taco.
Yeah. Octopus, so good.
Mhm.
That smoked octopus is tremendous as well.
Oh yeah, it's super good.
I really like that.
And it lasts a long time too. So I'll make a big batch and I'll chop it all up already and then vacuum seal. So it's good for like, on the jet ski snack.
Yeah. Something that I would add based on my limited experience to the freshwater spearfishing kit, if somebody's getting involved in it, you should probably get a 3-prong also. Because there's lots of opportunities to use that, and it's so fast and simple to reload.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even like I got 3 shots on one dive yesterday with it. That's nice. You know, it's a semi-automatic
Oh yeah.
spear gun kind of. I missed all 3, but that's a different story.
That's okay. Gotta educate them a little bit.
Yeah, make it harder for the next guy.
Exactly.
No, it's it's all so interesting. It's a cool world under there, and for me to come to Hawaii, like I'm a foreigner here in on land, right? Everything is new here. I'm not from here. It's super obvious. Everything is so different. You know, we're on the edge of this huge lava field right now next to a ceremonial burial site looking out over the ocean, and that water is going to be 1,000 feet deep within a really short distance to the shore. Because if you take this island from the bottom of the ocean, it's the biggest mountain in the world, so it's really steep and gets deep really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We were in blue water within 150 yards of shore.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you were in North Carolina right now, you would have to run 50 to 70 miles out to find blue water.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's so crazy to me. So then we're in a very foreign world to me here on the surface where I can breathe, and then you get under the water where you can't breathe, and there are colors in these fish that I've never seen elsewhere in my life, like colors that just don't exist in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And how these fish are all interacting with each other and how they're interacting on the reef and looking at the coral, all of it is such a visually stunning experience just to observe. And then you add the element of interacting with it and like trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get to the bottom where I can't breathe and try and keep my eardrums from exploding, and also be relaxed while I'm down there, find the right kind of fish, line up on it, take a shot, and then get back to the surface. It is a tremendous thing to try to take on for somebody who's new to it. But it's so incredibly satisfying that I don't think it can be replaced in any other aspect of hunting or fishing that I've ever even read about. Like this is incredibly unique in the way that you participate in that environment.
Yeah, it's very special. I mean, like for me, it's like, well, I'm just gonna go out and just watch fish sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go for a swim, and it's a blessing for sure.
I definitely took lots of breaks to do that, and part of it was like I'd get a wave down into my snorkel and I'd choke on seawater, and then I'd get water in my mask and my eyes would be burning, and I start to get a little bit flustered and I'm not breathing calmly, and it's like, okay, maybe you just need to lay up here on the surface and just kind of watch for a little bit and calm back down and think about it. I bought a dive watch before I came out here, and I spent the whole airplane ride over like trying to figure out how it worked, and I didn't know if it was going to be that cool. It was the Garmin Descent, I think. I loved that. It was so interesting to me to see the amount of time that I spent down, the depth that I got to, and then how much time I was back on the surface, like letting me know I had it set for 3 minutes. So every time I came back to the surface, I was waiting 3 minutes before I tried to dive again, which is more than what I needed. But some of these dives that felt to me like a very long time were like 35 seconds. A lot of the dives where I shot fish, I was back to the surface in a total of like 17 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to sound crazy to people that are like, well, I can hold my breath for a minute, no problem. Like, yeah, you can. But you start adding these stressors, and then suddenly it's a different ball game.
Yeah, definitely learning to have the ocean at your back and being okay to breathe calmly is quite difficult. I mean, there's times where even like just it's can be really breezy, and just positioning your body so that your fins are not flapping in a weird direction. Like I'll take that into consideration too, and I'll try and make my drop.
Yeah, those carbon blade fins that you sell. This is my first time using those. That is, I mean, it's the difference between like running barefoot and running with running shoes. Like I never expected it to be that big of a difference.
Oh, it's a game changer. I mean, you're just way more efficient in your kick, and you just use way less energy.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's best to start off with a softer blade for
Yeah.
sure before you're like. I mean, I have customers all the time. They're like, "I'm a big boy. I can kick like a stiff." I'm like, "Nope, nope, no, you can't.
Yeah.
You listen to Auntie.
Yeah.
I'm Auntie.
Yes.
I'm telling you, no, just listen and work your way up, because you don't want to learn how to kick funky. You don't want to have a bicycle kick. We want you to like be efficient. We want you to use your big muscles.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, they're just gonna break your ankles.
Well, you're speaking facts here, because I'd come into this thinking that I was probably going to want a medium stiffness blade, and for all the same reasons that you just said, right? I'm a big guy. The reality is, for where I'm at right now, I don't want anything stiffer than those soft blades. And if I get to the point where I can put more power into them than what they can handle, sure, that's the time for me to step up a little bit. But for now, if they were any stiffer, I would have a really hard time swimming with them.
Oh yeah. And it's like once you have a hard time swimming, you're gonna burn more oxygen, and also it's just like you don't really want to swim anymore.
Yeah.
And it just ruins your day.
Yeah. You know, keep talking about like how time is sort of relative depending on what you're doing, but spending 4 hours diving feels like 5 days of work. Like that is really physically exhausting without ever having anything that is a lot of output all at once. You know, it's not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
You're never moving all that fast, but it is really tiring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of perspective on these competitions where you guys are in the water for 8 hours, just doing dive after dive. Like, that's insane.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for us, we're lucky. We get to do it pretty consistently. So like, we get the training year round, basically.
Yeah.
So we're in good condition, I'd say.
I did 42 dives today, and I am smoked. I feel like I need a small coma to catch up. And that's more than twice as much as something that I would do in a lake at home. Yeah. And this is deeper and more dynamic in so many different ways. But really, I just can't thank you enough for taking the last 2 days to teach me all this stuff and to take the time and show me these places. And we took your jet ski out today and bombed around to some different spots. The other thing that I want people to understand is that this is accessible to more physical fitness levels than I think people might imagine, right? You don't have to have tremendous cardio. You don't have to be in good physical condition. You can take this on how you are right now. Like if you can get in the water and swim around a little bit with a snorkel and fins, then you can probably add a spear gun and start trying this.
Mm-hmm. I definitely recommend taking like a freedive course too. That way you can actually learn like the proper safety protocols, and it's definitely good to learn.
Yeah.
It's just they teach you a proper technique on how to do a kick cycle and how to do a good entry in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to take a freedive course really badly. They're just not accessible where I live. So it'll be like a full on trip. Like this to be able to learn about it, but I need to do it before I start solidifying some of these bad habits that I have right now.
Or you could just come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep coming back. Okay, I want to talk about hunting on land a little bit too, because that's something that you do a lot of. You were like a bird dog in a pheasant factory when those goats were right next to us a while ago. So, what types of hunting do you do on land here in the Big Island?
Over here I like to do a lot of archery. That'll consist of sheep, goats, and pigs. Occasional chickens in the backyard.
The occasional mongoose.
Oh yeah, mongoose get it. Big or small, I get them all.
Yeah. So this hunting and spearfishing thing, like, I don't think people would like pick you out of a lineup and be like, oh yeah, that girl right there, standing at a whopping. Are you like 5 foot?
5'2".
5'2". All right, I'm shortening you a little bit. You're an unassuming person, and I don't think people would be like, oh yeah, she's a hardcore bow hunter who can free dive 186 feet and kill fish while she's at it. Like it's super cool that you're able to do all that stuff. It's impressive. I don't know if you're impressed by yourself, but you're impressive to watch.
Nah.
Yeah. What's the next level of spearfishing for you? Do you want to compete in worlds?
No, I'm done competing.
You retired?
Yeah, I'm retired.
Tell me about nationals.
It's fun. I mean, the only reason I did it was because one of the kids that I've been teaching, he wanted to give it a go. So I was like, all right, Auntie's out of retirement. All right, we can just try, have fun. He's a good boy, Peyton, and he started from young with me, and then now he shoots like almost 100-pound lulas and shoots Onos with me, like, almost every weekend. So within a couple of years, he got so good, and that's honestly what I like to do. I like to take kids.
So how did it go?
Nationals, well, we won. Well, I won the women's, and then we took second. So, but it doesn't matter. It's like it feels like we won in general because it's one of those things that it's like he definitely is one of those boys who just excited, and he's like, okay, I don't know what to expect, but we're gonna give it a go.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, just don't get frustrated, and if you get frustrated, then put the spear gun down and then just sit on the kayak for a little while and then try jumping again.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took second, and I took first for the overall women's.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You told me that one of your approaches to competing is just to pull the trigger as many times as possible.
Yes. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be, slamming fish if you're not pulling trigger.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's like, I think that you will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So, for me, even if I can, because we're shooting invasives. So, it doesn't even matter if I were just to win one. Like, we don't care. We just want them out. So, I could be shooting it in the tail or in the stomach or something, and I'll be just, okay, at least I got one.
Yep. Helping out the reef.
Yep.
So you shot some of these invasives today, which are called Roy. It's a peacock grouper.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I found very interesting about that is you were shooting them, bringing them up to the surface, pulling out your dive knife, stabbing them in the brain, and then you were swimming them back down to the bottom and stacking rocks on top of them.
Yeah, I mean, I learned actually this last year when I was diving out Kona. I personally like to shoot a lot of Roy, so I guess it doesn't look good if the fish are floating on the surface.
Yeah.
People will call DLNR on you.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, it's Roy. And they're like, oh, okay. No problem then. So I do it now out of habit because I don't want someone to call.
Okay.
And get me in trouble.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Why are the Roy a problem for the reef?
Oh, they just consume so much native fish. And the Roy, Top, and Toal, they just multiply and they are just vacuums. They're the vacuums of the ocean. They eat all the baby fish and they multiply so fast. And it's like one, like that size today that
Yeah.
I shot. As soon as I shot that one, you saw like two, three more pop up and then
Right.
they dig out.
Yeah.
It's just very, very difficult to get rid of. And spearfishing actually is the easiest way to get rid of the Roy. Ta'ape and Toal, it might be a little easier to actually just catch them fishing because they're in big schools and they're very darty. They like to I shot a couple today, but it was just like on the run, swinging the gun. I missed so many times. I'm like scales. I'm like, well, at least I hit you.
The other thing about the Roy is that you can't eat them.
Yep, Cigatera. That's another thing. I mean, maybe on my side, not too bad. But I mean, I do see a lot of people eating them. But on this side, I wouldn't touch that thing.
What is ciguatera?
It is probably like the worst feeling flu that you could get. We actually got that in New Caledonia. Basically, you have chills, headache, fever for weeks, and it's just miserable. And unfortunately, once you have it, you're prone to getting it again. So like you could be eating like a cole that's a little bit hot, might have some sig, and you might just might get it again.
And it's a biotoxin, right?
So it accumulates in all the other smaller reef fish, and then that Roy might eat that fish. So that's how they end up getting it.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because we have a lot of runoff on from these golf courses. That's where one of those places that we dove the second spot. But yeah, you saw how many Roy were over there.
So what does the runoff from the golf courses do?
The fertilizers, and the heavy rain, it creates algal blooms, and then that's what creates the sig.
Really?
hmm
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, like right now it's guaranteed gonna rain. It's probably up Malco, gonna be a couple inches of rain tonight, and that's all gonna run down.
And you got a foot of rain a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, that's normal though for Hilo.
That's crazy. It's so interesting, like where my uncle's place is just outside of Waimea, it's dry. But you go 5 minutes towards Waimea and it rains every day.
Oh yeah.
So there's just a line right there where it goes from desert to jungle almost. It's the weather here is fascinating.
That's the nice thing though about Big Island. It's like, oh, we'll get away from the rain for the weekend. We'll go beach, go Kona.
Yeah.
At least it'll be sunny.
What other advice do you have to people who might be interested in getting into spearfishing?
Honestly, do it with a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's best to do it with somebody that you can consistently go with. That way you guys can learn together and you guys can come up with each other. That way if you were to go spearfishing today by yourself, you wouldn't have been as pumped if you were by yourself.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I would have been scared the whole time, probably.
Yeah, so doing that stuff with a partner, and it's a lot safer too.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend, just having a buddy with you. It's way more rewarding when you can share those experiences with somebody.
Which aim-right spear gun do you think is the best gun for somebody to start with?
I'd say just the Fury, open muzzle, the 2-band. That way, later on, if you do want to go for a roller, you can just slap one on.
Okay.
Very easy.
Is that the pin flicker?
No, that one is a little different. That one is a fancy integrated muzzle.
I love that gun. I love it so much, and it shoots really naturally for me. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I think you did a good thing there.
Yeah, you did really good in the lake. I saw your string. I was like, ooh, you're stacking them up.
For sure. And that last octopus today that just kicked my ass. Good grief.
That was a very good shot. I thought you were going to drop down, but I was like, oh, from the surface. I was like, oh.
Too good. There wasn't a lot of leash left on if he was another couple feet deeper, then the shaft just wouldn't have gotten down there.
But you drilled him perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, definitely he got stunned, and then it was easy to bring him up.
Yeah, that was awesome. Spotting those tacos down there is incredibly difficult. So, folks, we were above this thing, and Kiley she's pointing down at this rock, and then she does like spirit fingers with her hand, like the octopus sign. And I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see it. I come up out of the water, pull out my snorkel, I'm like, I don't see it. And he said, he's right there. He's the brown blob on top of the rock. He's like off to the side, kind of. And I see the brown blob, and I'm like, I just think that's more rock. And I was like, am I pointing at it? And he goes, yes, you're pointing at it. I was like, fine, here we go.
Let it fly.
And sure enough, yeah, that's just another thing that, like, at home, I can be driving 70 miles an hour down the interstate and see an elk 3 miles away out of my peripheral vision. I think it's probably like that for you to spot tacos here, whereas, if I'm going to point out an elk that's 3 miles away home, you might be like, what are you talking about, dude?
Oh, guarantee. I already figured, I would be like, what are we looking at? Oh, that brown thing a couple miles away. It's probably a butt looking at us. I'm like, I don't see it. I have hard time seeing, the axis deer sometimes in Maui.
They're hard to spot.
Yeah, you would think, oh, Bambi with spots. Come on.
Yeah.
Easy. And I'm like, oh, I don't see it.
Yeah, the spots are good camouflage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be hunting axis deer in Maui here in a couple days. I'm flying over there tomorrow, and very excited about that. I know nothing about what I'm getting into. I don't even know who I'm going with, but I know it's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably do a shore dive or something while I'm there. Okay, how can people find out more about Aim Right, more about you?
Well, I'd recommend if actually contacting me directly if this is something you want to do. That way I can help you out. I'm not trying to sell you stuff, I'm just gonna ask you basic questions like, okay, well, how deep are you gonna plan to dive? What type of fish are you gonna shoot? I can help you out with that. That way I can figure out what kind of setup you would need. And that's my jam. I like to help people. And I like to make sure that they're going to get the best possible setup. And like I said, I'm not trying to upsell stuff. That's not what I'm about. So you can just Instagram message me. What am I, Kiley_monster? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to that kind of stuff too much. But
KILEY_monster. And while you're at it, ask her how she got the nickname Monster.
No. We're not going to talk about that one. That'll make people very upset.
No, you're for sure going to get questions about it.
Yep.
Okay, folks, that's it. You can also go to aimritusa.com.
Correct.
AIMRITE USA.com. This is tremendous gear. I know you take a lot of pride in quality and in the way you build the stuff. Most of these guns are built by your hands, and you have a lifetime warranty.
Lifetime warranty.
Which is pretty unique in the business.
It is, actually.
Yeah.
And like I said, if there's any questions or problems, just feel free to message me or call me, email. It don't matter. We always respond within one to 2 days, and turnaround time for anything too is also 1 to 2 days.
Yeah.
Super fast.
That's impressive.
I'll be like, as long as I'm not diving or taking people diving.
Yeah.
It's going out.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for providing the incredible experience of getting to fish and cook and fish and dive and eat with you the last couple of days.
No, it's been a pleasure.
I look forward to hosting you on a hunt or something like that back home.
Sounds good.
All right.
Aloha.
Thank you, Kiley.
I just want to take a second and thank everyone who's written a review, who has sent mail, who has sent emails, who's sent messages. Your support is incredible. And I also love running into you at trade shows and events and just out on the hillside when we're hunting. I think that's fantastic. I hope you guys keep adventuring as hard and as often as you can. Art for the Six Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and was digitized by Celia Harlander. Original music was written and performed by Justin Hay. and the Sixth Ranch podcast is now produced by Sixth Ranch Media. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the show, and I look forward to next week when we can bring you a brand new episode.